it blows my mind too that people are not curious. Okay, she or some of the doctors are doing XYZ. And it seems to be working for their patients, and they don't seem to be making millions out of this. So maybe there's something to it. I'm gonna go learn a little bit before I voice on the social media my opinion that this is crap or this doesn't work or this is a charlatan or whatever. We need to keep an open mind. It's not like we know everything about medicine today. It's not like we can cure everything. We have all the answers. We know everything. We have everything figured out. We don't. There's so many conditions. There's so many health problems for which we don't have an answer. There's so many things we don't know yet, or we partially know, but not quite. We're not successful all the time with, in modern medicine. There's so many things we don't know about the human body still, and about nutrition still. So I think you have to remain humble and open-minded, because nobody knows everything. The top specialists in the world about anything, the top doctors or the top nutritionists, they don't know everything, because we don't know everything. We need to keep an open mind, and especially when something seems to be marginal or different or weird or counterintuitive or counter what common knowledge or something. You need to keep an open mind. One of the things I was told the most in 2017, 16, 17, 18 is that there's no science. There's no science. You're doing something that is not evidence-based. I'm like, I'm sorry, but there's already a ton of science on this. Have you gone out of your way to go find it and read it? Obviously, this is not the stuff that you will find in your continuing medical education, weekend training, the yearly training for family doctors or whatever. It's not mainstream yet. Doesn't mean that it doesn't exist, right? So before you say, oh, there's no science on this, well, have you gone out and looked into the science to see, okay, what is there science on this? If so, what it is, what does it say, what it is, what does it not say? And then make up your own mind based on that, as opposed to, oh, there's no science. There's no science on this. There's tons of science. There's more and more science. It's booming. The science on metabolic health, the science on reversing chronic conditions, the science on fasting, all of that it's booming. The science on nutrition too. It's not as simplistic as cutting out or reducing one macro. You reduce fat, you lose weight, right? Or you don't get heart disease, or you cut out carbs, all of a sudden you lose weight and whatever, you reverse type 2 diabetes. It's not that simple. It's complex, right? So all of us are still learning, but you have to keep an open mind about it. And I don't know, I didn't see it, at first. People were a lot more skeptical than they were open-minded, but I think times are changing and it's getting better now.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think the science is really important. Like we talked about, there has been a lot of science. More is coming out all the time. And now it's like we've got anecdote as well. And it's like one person gets better, then 10 people get better, then 100 people get better. And all these numbers keep growing. And hopefully it starts to force this issue where there's such a critical mass of people not following the standard of care that are all getting better, that somebody's going to have to say, okay, we have to acknowledge this. It's too many people that this is working for and too few people that this won't work for. I have a really tough time finding people that this doesn't work across the board for so many different things.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, I have like about 2,000 patients so far. So I have a lot of data, and I know for a fact that the vast majority of people, they improve their metabolic health. They do. Like this, it works. It works. If you change your lifestyle, if you change your diet, if you change your sleep, your stress, your fasting, eating, your schedule and all that, you can get absolutely amazing results. And this is it's beyond anecdotal for me after 2,000 patients, but a lot of doctors are seeing the same results across the globe, because I'm not the only one. I'm following the footsteps of giants, like Dr. Eric Westman, for instance. Like he's amazing. He has a lot of clinical experience, but he has similar results. I have similar results as he gets, and a lot of doctors are we're getting the same results. So this is undeniable. But also I have to say that you probably know, but during the pandemic in May 2020, finally Diabetes Canada, which is the equivalent of the American Diabetes Association, published a document, an article in which it said that the evidence is there. There is a lot of evidence now about how eating low carb or very low carb, which is ketogenic, has a lot of data, has actually the most evidence-based for controlling and improving blood sugar levels, and that they now recommend it as a potential therapy, as a potential treatment for those who are interested. And they list some of the articles and the science that is based on that. So they came out with this statement that now it should be at least offered to patients as one way of treating their type 2 diabetes. So, I think there's so many people that are changing their lives and health, and then they're telling, like you said, they're telling someone. And at our clinic, for instance, most patients enroll from word of mouth. Like they've heard or they've seen someone else they know. Like we don't have any budget to do publicity or marketing or anything. We do none of that. It's basically just word of mouth, or when their own doctors suggest they should enroll at Clinique Reversa. So yeah, word of mouth is, it's a grassroots movement, but it's also important that the top instances acknowledge the evidence and make statements. And Diabetes Canada finally made that statement. So hopefully things will get better now that people are asking for it from the bottom, and then the top instances will say, yeah, it's true that not eating sugar can help with your blood sugar level. That's kind of true,
That's great. Yeah, those steps are so important, and hopefully we are moving in the right direction as far as that goes. That is very, very hopeful. And it's interesting the way you phrase that. And we all feel the same way. Like we know what's going. If you go low carb and you are obese or diabetic, I pretty much can tell you what's going to happen. It might not happen overnight, but I can pretty much predict, and I know you can, and I know so many people in our world can. And we're not even saying like this is the only way. We're just asking, like, can this be an option that I can also talk about? I'm not saying it's the only way to do things, but can I at least mention it as something that would be effective? And I know, again, 100% of the time, basically it's going to be effective. We want to talk about it. That's it.
Yes, absolutely. I think we don't want to just talk about it. We want, well, maybe you do, but as a doctor, I don't want to just talk about it. I want every patient out there, every person out there who has a metabolic chronic condition caused by lifestyle, like obesity or type 2 diabetes or hypertension or whatever. I want all those people, all those patients to be offered all the options. So you have type 2 diabetes and you come in to see me. The general standard of care, the guidelines say, I should tell you to eat less, move more, improve your lifestyle. And if that doesn't work, come back in 3 months and we'll get you started on pills. A lot of people, a lot of doctors don't even say improve your lifestyle, and they just say, okay, we'll get you started on some drugs. We'll get you started on, glucose lowering drugs, cholesterol lowering drugs, blood pressure lowering drugs, and we'll do blood work every 3 to 6 months to see how it's going and stuff. That's it. You deserve to know that there's other options out there, all kinds of options. You deserve to know. You deserve to be offered all the options, and you deserve to be told the advantages and disadvantages, the benefits and the costs and benefits. Like, you can take medication. Yes, sure, that's one option. You can do nothing. That's an option too. But here's what will happen, right? You can do bariatric surgery. Studies shows that this can reverse type 2 diabetes, so it counts as an option, right? You could do fasting. You could do low carb. You could do very low carb, so ketogenic diet. So these are all options that are worth being mentioned, and patients deserve to be told that these are options. It is not fair that you only get offered pills. That's not fair. That is not good medicine.
Yeah, it's not honest. You're not telling people the truth if you're just giving them that one option, when you just listed several viable options and people can take their pick. I absolutely love that. I love that you've had so much experience on the ground helping people. And you do such a great job with all your content and your book of making things very, very simple for people. So I'm wondering, what kinds of challenges have you seen with your cohort of people in clinic, and how do you overcome those challenges with people?
Well, one big challenge that we have is that, a lot of people, especially at first, didn't know where sugar was. A lot of people don't know that spaghetti is pure sugar, for instance, right? Or rice is pure sugar. So there's a part of the challenges is teaching, taking the time and the right structure to teach patients, to give them knowledge. But a second big challenge that we encounter is that a lot of our patients, what we realize after a few months and a few years, is that a lot of the patients who have the knowledge and have improved tremendously on their blood sugar, they lost weight and all that, sort of fell off the train and slipped back into old habits and became sick again and felt powerless to get back on the train and to get back into their good habits. And for a long time we're like, what is going on? But because in my mind, once you know, right? But knowing is not good enough. For a lot of people need support. They need to be accompanied. They need to be with someone who will help them troubleshoot, life events and stuff. Oh, I'm going to a wedding, I'm going to funerals, I'm going on vacation, what should I do? But also a big piece of the puzzle is food addiction. And food addiction is not something that we talk enough about. And so if you're addicted to alcohol, let's say, well, you know that you should quit completely 100% and never touch it again, because you cannot be moderate in your consumption of alcohol, right? So you haven't drunk in 6 months and you celebrate that with one beer. It's not going to be just one beer. You're most likely going to go back into being an alcoholic and drinking way more than what you want and losing control over that. Food is trickier because food you cannot stop eating, right? Obviously, but not every food behaves the same way in your mind, like in your brain and in your body, right? So getting food addiction recognized as a real addiction, it's taking a lot of work and a lot of time, and it's going to happen, but we're not quite there yet. So it's not known or recognized that you can get addicted to certain foods and that you should abstain 100% from that. So the people that have the hardest time sticking to good nutrition, so including eating properly, but not eating too, because you're not supposed, for your metabolic health, you're not supposed to eat in between meals. You're supposed to have maximum 3 meals a day. 2 would be ideal. And you stretch your fasting every now and then, 24, 36, or 42. This is really good for your metabolic health, right? So eating and not eating, but more than that, one piece of the puzzle of the people who struggle the most is to not touch their trigger foods that will make them back into their addiction and not being able to get out of it. And they see, like, for instance, a type 2 diabetes patient who reversed their type 2 diabetes. They don't need any more medication. They have perfect blood sugars all the time or almost all the time. And they eat their trigger food at a wedding, let's say, and boom, they're back into eating sugar, losing control. Their blood sugars go back up. They see it. They prick their fingers and they see it, and they're still powerless to stop it from happening. So this is a true addiction, and it's not recognized enough, but we're working on it. Me and my colleague Sophie Roland, we're working on developing programs for food addicts. There are some great programs out there in English, but unfortunately not much is going on in French, right? But anyway, so the patients that are doing great and then are not doing great anymore, usually they're food addicts. So and they need different support, they need different knowledge, they need a different way to manage the situation. And right now our clinic is not set up for that, but we recognize that this is a huge piece of the puzzle. For sure. And I think it's hard to change any habits. You've been doing the same thing over and over for years and years, and it's not so good for you, so you try to do something else. Like, let's say sports, training. Let's say you decide, I'm gonna running is good, so I'm gonna or weightlifting or whatever you want, I'm gonna start running 3 times a week. You do it for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and something happens, or you get a call, and then you have a lot of work, and then you get stressed, and then you go on vacation, and next thing you know, you've lost your good habit of training 3 times a week, right? Good habits are hard to keep, and it's the same with food and fasting. And so people need more support than just, well, here's the knowledge, let me teach you what you need to know, and off you go, So, and this is hard because providing ongoing coaching, ongoing support, ongoing, ongoing support is it's costly. It's costly in terms of money and time too. So, and patients don't necessarily have the money to pay for, I don't know, a weekly meeting with a professional or something. So this is a challenge, and we don't have the answers to what would be the best formula, but I know a lot of doctors out there are trying to figure out how they can help their food addict patients, because that's not a matter of not knowing what to do. It's a matter of keep doing what works for them, what is good for them, despite adversity and addiction.
Yeah, no, that's so well explained. And I love, again, your content is really approachable, and it's really either inexpensive or free for the people that want to go out and find it. The information is there. And yes, there's going to be some kind of a cost to coaching, but it's like, dialysis is pretty expensive. Your copays for drugs are going to be pretty expensive. Yes. Dying early is not great. So we got to do something, and we may need to allocate your funds a little bit differently than you have in the past. But if we can reverse some of these diseases, and you can enjoy the rest of your life, and you can be healthy and fit and move around with your kids, it's totally worth it. Totally worth it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Actually, if you think, we say to patients, look, yeah, for sure, having good, healthy habits is hard, but being sick is harder. But we cannot convince everybody to prioritize their health, and as a healthcare professional too, if you want to not burn out on this, you have to understand that sometimes people they still need time to figure it out from now what's their priority, and we cannot not save them, but not everybody will prioritize their health right now. So we say we cannot save them all, in the sense that sometimes people are just not ready to make significant changes because either they have an addiction that is not addressed, or they don't fully realize how sick they will be in the future. Yeah. Megan Ramos was telling me that some patients she remembers back in the day, she was telling them, stop eating so much sugar. Your kidneys are already so weak. If you keep on eating this sugar and your blood sugars are all over the place, you will lose your kidneys. You will have to do hemodialysis, right? Or whatever. And she told me she was trying to convince them that this matters, this is important, that there's still time to do something. And some of them didn't listen to her, and then for all kinds of reasons, and lost their kidneys, went into hemodialysis. And she said some of them came back into my office crying, and they said, I'm sorry, I didn't listen to you. I'm in hemodialysis. Help me. Tell me what to do. I will do it. And it's too late. It's too late, But so sometimes it's too late. But for the vast majority of people that I see in clinic or who contact us, it's not too late. Today, doesn't matter how severe you are today, you can make changes that will impact your health positively, that will make a difference. Maybe we cannot get you back to being all brand new and super functioning normally, and but definitely we can improve or stabilize. That's for sure. Everybody, there's not one person that came to my clinic that wouldn't help improve or stabilize.